Virgo, welcome to your 5-card movie star spread. For those of you who've been with me since, I don't know, September or earlier, you may recognize the kitchen table from my last apartment. I am in Illinois and I'm visiting family and my old table apparently. But with that being said, this house is full of laughter and love and many, many children. So you might see somebody walking by the doorway here. There's a set of stairs. You might hear somebody going up and down the stairs. You might hear Mario Kart or a piano start playing in the background. These are just people, not spirits. I promise you that. Actual real life people. With that being said, Virgo. Ooh. Virgo. This is incredibly interesting. Sometimes the truth hurts, Virgo. Sometimes the truth really hurts. And in this case, you're feeling a bit of a sting based on a choice or a decision that you did not make. Okay? You lingered in the planning stage for too long, and because you did not make some choice based on information coming in, because you sat there stagnant, universe had to close that window of opportunity and make that choice for you. And unfortunately for you, Virgo, that puts you back on this karmic wheel. You are going to repeat a cycle. There was something you were supposed to do. There was an action you were supposed to take. So the thing is, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always done. And if you want something you've never had, you have to be willing to do something you've never done. And that's not what happened here. You learned some new information and you didn't act on it. You just sat there and contemplated it. So now that you have this piece of information, you have to go through this whole cycle again. And hopefully, this next time around, you'll take the action you need to take to stop that karmic wheel and end this cycle so you can move forward. Okay? You are planting a foundation. You are not planting a foundation. You are laying a foundation based on a promise or an idea that you had a long time ago. All right? That's literally what you're doing right now. You're staying stuck in this old energy and you're going back around. You're making plans based on who you were 2, maybe 3 years ago. And you're still moving forward with that, despite everything that you've learned over those 2 or 3 years. So here you are struggling with the dance of change in your possible outcome. So it's almost like you didn't make this decision because you didn't want to go against this promise that you made. But the reality of the situation is you're still contemplating breaking this promise that you made. This is really interesting, Virgo. And I always tell people in my readings, I don't hyper-focus on love and I don't hyper-focus on finance. I hyper-focus on self-care. I can see this going in so many different directions and so many storylines. I just want to focus on Virgo. I don't want to focus on the people in Virgo's life or any of the other energies that are coming through, okay? Because what I'm seeing here is this. You feel like you don't have the potential, okay? Because aces are always high potential and low resolution. But this is you feeling like you don't have the potential energy to create something new. This isn't about love with somebody else. This is about self-care, self-love. You feel like you can't create that fire and that spark that you used to have. So you're settling for this promise that you made yourself. The promise you made could be to another person, and you'd rather keep your word than anything else. But I kind of feel like the promise that was made was a plan for yourself. how do I explain this? You promised yourself a comfortable life. And that comfortable life that you promised yourself comes at the expense of your own happiness. So you may have made plans to make other people happy. And now, by sticking to your word, you're just barely maintaining a comfortability while everybody else around you is thriving in happiness. You're making everybody else's dreams come true, Virgo, except your own. And you might want to change that. You might want to rework your resources to save some of this happiness for yourself. Because if you don't, you might find yourself moving forward into a situation that is very burdensome. And the one thing that I've learned is that when people exchange mere comfort for happiness, when people exchange mediocrity and settle for something that's just good enough, rather than go after that fire in their belly, they might find themselves a few years from now being very resentful of all the people that they sacrificed for in order to make everybody else happy. Making people, making the people who surround your day-to-day life happy seems like a very noble cause, but if you do it at your own expense, then it could hurt you in the long run. So I'm not saying break your promises. I'm not saying leave behind the people who you're with. No. I'm saying in the process of making everybody else happy, make yourself happy as well. Because this 10 of Wands here is represented, people call this card the burden of responsibility. Each one of these wands represents passion and new growth. So you picked up each one of these wands either out of necessity or out of want, out of passion. But each one of them comes with a responsibility of maintenance. You're the one carrying the load and everybody else is getting the benefit. How long can you keep this going before you're resentful of everybody else being happy while you're the only one putting in all the work for hope? And you'll have to excuse me if I sound very passionate because I'm just going to put in a personal note here. My mother is a Virgo, okay? And she does this a lot. I've seen her do this a lot. And I remember the exact day, and I'm not going to get into it, when she decided she wasn't going to do this anymore. And I remember how hard it was on her to look at all of the times she had self-sacrificed and put herself aside for the family unit, for everybody else, the times when she didn't give to herself, and how hard it was for her for the next 3 years to learn how to give to herself. Okay? This is a very familiar Virgo energy, and I've seen it with other Virgos in my life too. So if you're not a Virgo who's been through this before, reach out and tell people your story because it's going to help somebody else learn that lesson earlier on in life than my mother did. I want to say my mother was in her mid-50s when she learned this lesson, and it took her 3 years to learn how to save just enough energy in her cup for herself and not to constantly sacrifice for everybody else. It does come with burdens. It does come with resentment. And once that time has passed, you cannot get it back, Virgo. So, do not mistake comfort for happiness. Do not settle for mediocrity when you can achieve real emotional fulfillment with the same group and the same family unit you're with now, if only you save just a little bit of that for yourself. Do not be a martyr, Virgo. That's Virgo's biggest downfall, is martyring themselves and giving all of themselves to everybody else's happiness. Yes, you are the rock that everybody clings to. Yes, you are the problem solver that everybody comes to. But don't forget to salvage something for yourself in the process. Virgo, I hope you found a message that serves your highest good, and I hope these words resonate deeply. And like I said, if you're a Virgo who's already been through this, tell your story. Tell it to everybody who will listen, and help those who are going through the same thing. I hope you found a message that serves your highest good. I'll see you next week.